Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. So again, let's get right into it. So there's a very odd event that happened with London now. Now this was added a bit last second because again, this is something that we're really paying attention to. Any kind of power disruptions, especially big ones like this. Now, we all talked about Spain about a week ago, I would say maybe a week and a half ago, or less. And Spain had this issue where it was a massive blackout. Almost entirely, the entire grid of Spain went down, right? And what was the cause? Well, within I think a couple hours, they ended up saying it was atmospheric disturbances and this and this and that. And of course, it sounded like a bunch of BS. Like, oh, everything heated up and it just kind of fizzled and whatever, dude. So with this, they ended up saying, oh, well, it's most likely because of a failure due to the going green stuff, the renewable infrastructure, right? Well, a lot of that infrastructure, which we covered the next day after, is provided by China, right? China made the solar panels, the solar generators, all the different stuff there, right? So again, you had a connection to where, is this a back door into Spain, right? Well, now we have London. A massive power failure happening has caused major disruption at the London Underground network and the Elizabeth line. The Bakerloo line is currently suspended. This huge underground network, of course, if you've ever been to Europe, this underground, system is how people get around. It's a huge, huge tourist attraction on top of that. And of course, it was all completely down in places. Again, earlier sections of the Northern Jubilee, Waterloo, and City and Elizabeth were also shut down. To understand, that's a massive, massive thing for all of these to be shut down at the same time. Transport for London said that the issues had been caused by a short power cut, which happened at about 14:30 BST. Power has since been restored, but delays and line suspensions are ongoing. Now, could this have some sort of connection to any of the other power outages? Is this kind of a shot over the bow? And specifically from China, saying, China kind of vowing for power, like, hey, if you don't like us, we've got ways we can turn stuff off. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're going to cover in depth what is going on, including troops amassing at the border. This is huge. Now they've got tanks, they've got helicopters, they've got troops massing just like it was in 2022. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, let's head over to the map. We're going to go to our next story, and for that, we're going to bring in our co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
Now, just a reminder, if you ever have questions, you're new here, you're like, hey, how do I find all of the stuff I saw here? How do I tell where they're getting their news? Again, there's a full bibliography for every single show, every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we show you here today. We have a source list for this. That way you can look at our footnotes and go, okay, this is where it came from. That is all available over at marfooglenews.com. Again, that is all you have to do is actually look for today's thumbnail. The main page is actually all organized by thumbnail. So it's very, very easy to organize. You just click on the thumbnail and then boom, you've got yourself a source list, tweets, everything. All right, let's go over to Dex. So this next story, you want to intro that?
Yeah, certainly. So if you haven't heard, there's a lot of hubbub on in the news about this idea of getting a jumbo jet, gifted to either our country or to our president or to him personally. And I guess that's where a lot of the rub is, because those who don't like him want to say it's a bad deal, and those that do like, even some of those that do like him, don't want it coming from the country it's coming from. But nonetheless, we have a 40-plus-year-old Air Force One, and it's been in the works for quite some time to have it rebuilt or build a new one from Boeing. And apparently it's got started last time Trump was in office, and then got delayed last presidency, with a lot of other change requests, according to him. And then now it's coming out that it's going to take even longer for it to come around. So he's been complaining to Boeing. And in the process of that, Qatar comes along and says, you know what, we'll give you a giant 747 decked out, fully done up, one of their royal type planes, just top of the line, fancy pants plane. Not just a shell, but and they'll give it to him. And the idea was, hey, we'll give it to the Department of Defense. It'll be an Air Force plane. And then at the end of Trump's term, then it will be gifted to his presidential library, which is what Reagan did with one of the Air Force One planes back in his day. So it's actually at the library. So anyway, that's the story. But everybody's up in arms. They think it's like this private gift that's going to Trump, and he's going to take it home with him, and it's going to be his new, Trump Force One. So,
that's exactly how they're covering it. And I heard BBC. There was the radio. I overheard this clip of this guy going, well, it's absolutely absurd. This man wants his own palace, and now he's about to be gifted a $400 million. Okay, we have the Statue of Liberty. We have tons of things that other countries gifted us. Now, I'm not exactly agreeing with Qatar giving us anything, but as far as this goes, as far as just the premise goes, if a country wants to give something to the president, yeah, if it's personally giving him $400 million, that's shady as hell. But if it's a plane that's useful, that's going to go into something, and then after the presidency, it doesn't transfer to him. It goes over to it's basically our property. That's just like any other country's gift. There's a ton of humongous, multi-million-dollar gifts from countries, just as in other countries, there's massive multi-million-dollar gifts from us. A lot of the times it will be a statue or a monument. I do think it's funny, though. If this thing is really decked out as, quote, a flying palace, if it has gold and it just totally fits, the Dawn. If there's certain things that are in there that's gold and things, because $400 million, there's got to be something in there that's gold. Maybe a gold toilet. I don't know. But I will say this. It will be kind of funny, the next president, especially if they're, the pattern holds and it's like a boring, total opposite of Donald, them sitting in this golden palace that everybody will constantly think of Donald. Dex, go ahead.
Well, I don't even think the next president will get to fly in it. That's the whole point. Once his term is done, it goes to his
that's
library.
Right.
Yeah, so it is only for his use.
I think that
it's not his ownership. It's given to the DoD.
If it's outfitted like Air Force One, because they have top secret weapons and all of this stuff, then why not let all of the presidents use it? The last date that they put this thing together was 1990, and of course they've updated it with new weapons and new sensors and new everything. They can do the outside and the shell and stuff, but it's like, why not update it?
So they're. I don't know that they're going to do a complete overhaul on this. They'll have to do some retrofitting. They'll have to obviously tear everything down and put it all back together again, which is kind of expensive, but not the same as building a new plane. Obviously, they'd want to check it for security reasons. But they would also incorporate a lot of the technology that needs to go in there. But there's certain things that just aren't going to happen, like putting in a refueling system. The current Air Force One can refuel in the air, meaning it can stay airborne forever, as long as there's refuelers airborne. The new Air Force One will be coming out, and it will actually replace this, which would be in time, about the same time that this would go to the presidential library. So this is supposed to be a stopgap measure, not a, this isn't even a brand new plane. It's got some years on it, but it's not 40 plus years old like our current Air Force One.
Yeah, but so wait, are you saying that the gift wouldn't be refuelable in air?
That's correct. It's not built that way.
So it can't even be used as Air Force One. They won't even use certain helicopters. They won't use which one is the double propeller one that takes off vertically? I can't think of the name. Not Chinook, but the one that it turns into a plane when it gets up in the sky. The propellers go vertical, takes off, and then it goes forward. What the heck is the name? I'm blanking on it. That helicopter, they will not. The Osprey, thank you so much, MJ, Mikey, and Zadizi, and everybody else. Yeah, the V-22 Osprey. So they can't use the Osprey for any Air Force uses because it doesn't have the manual propeller feature that regular helicopters do. Even if a helicopter's power goes out with the president inside, it can do the manual rotation, and it will slowly kind of basically glide down, not glide down to the ground, but the propellers will slow it down to the point where it can try to land even without engine power. Whereas the Ospreys, if their propeller and their power goes out, it's just a crash and burn and our president's gone. So there's certain rules about that. I would think that if there's a nuclear war and you only have one gas tank, that's not very useful as Air Force One. That's not a mobile command center. That's not even usable by the president. So I do understand the point. Like, if this isn't usable, then this is a really big kind of useless gift. But again, if it's free of charge, take it. But we can't use it in that case. Do you know what I mean, Dex? Like, if this can't be refueled in the sky, then what's the point?
Well, at the same time, it doesn't mean the 40-year-old jet doesn't sit there ready to go if they need to put them up in mobile command versus they're just flying them from, New York to DC for
Doesn't matter though. If he's up in that plane and something goes down, that's the whole point.
The new one that's coming out doesn't have it either.
From the old to the new.
I think the new one that's coming out doesn't have it yet either.
I don't think that would even be possible. But again, maybe they can. I don't think that would be possible. Well, maybe not publicly, but it's gotta. I mean, there's no way, because the whole point of that is that it turns into the mobile fortress and that they can stay up indefinitely, especially if there's nukes going off on the ground. But who knows? Like we said, a lot of these things haven't been changed since 1950. In this case, this plane is like 40 years old, which is kind of crazy.
The next Air Force One designated the VC-25B will not have mid-air refueling capability.
I don't think so. When it gets closer, they'll say, "Oh, they added it in," or we've just found out that they secretly have the nose cap pop off or something. And
it was made as a cost-cutting measure. The aircraft will have a reduced range of 5,900 nautical miles.
Who decided that? Was that freaking Barack? Was that Joe? Like, who decided that? Is there anything like we can remove right away that nobody will notice? The refueling, indefinite in the air. Like, how long can a plane fly on one tank of gas?
It might have been Trump, because when he took office the first time, he got them to cut the costs on it.
If it was him, that's an idiotic move.
They were spending a lot of money. I'm not saying it was him, but I know that Biden put in a whole lot of change orders, which caused all these delays. So I don't know who did it. I have to go look. But yeah, it's cut out. It's been cut out.
I think they would put it right back in, because how many weapons, how many different things on this plane are secret, top secret? I mean, there's sensors, there's weapons, there's monitors, there's surveillance, there's all sorts of things on Air Force One and the Beast and any of the aircraft or planes, cars, etc. that the president rides in that we don't know about. There's probably flamethrowers on the Beast and freaking missile launchers. And then Trump signs executive order is setting a 30-day deadline, and this is crazy, for drug makers to lower prescription drug costs. Now, in the actual headline and in the actual executive order, that seems like a really, really big thing, but I just wonder how this is actually going to be implemented, how this is going to work. I mean, what if he did an executive order being like, hey, pharmaceuticals, you just have to stop being a beep, like they're essentially setting the price to whatever they want. They're like, oh, you have a incurable disease? Give me $14 million per day, per hour. You agree? Oh, okay. This is a business model, right? Oh, you just want to live another hour with your kids? Oh, $17 million per minute. Dex, what do you think about the drug makers? Are they going to lower their prices?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're going to. They have to. As a matter of fact, he didn't do this against the drug makers. He did it in cooperation with the drug makers. So at least in part with most of them, most of the U.S. ones, that is. So the way it works, it's called MFN. It's most favored nations. It's a pricing tactic. It's been around forever, called MFN. And it basically means that you have the most favorable pricing. In other words, if you're going to lower your price to another nation or another country or another customer, you have to give us that same price, whatever that is. What has happened in the past is the pharmaceutical company will make a drug and they will go into, let's say, Europe, which is who Trump used as an example, and the EU will say, you know what, we're not paying that. We're gonna tell you that $1,000 you want a month for that drug. We're only going to tell you have to sell it for $200, or you can't sell it here. And then they'll be like, okay, well, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. And then they take the extra money that they need to make to recoup the R&D or to put it into their profit model or whatever it is the drug companies want, which I know they make tons of money, and they move it back to America. And that's why the prices are sky high here and lower elsewhere. So what's going to happen, or what should happen, is prices in other locations like Europe, London, or the UK, even Mexico or wherever the prices are lower, should actually come up. Not a lot. It won't take a lot for them to come up. But if they came up 10, 20, 30% there, we could actually drop 80 to 50% in price, and the drug manufacturers are still making the same money. So in other words, the US has been subsidizing these drugs for the entire world because we're so rich and we can afford it, was the theory, as opposed to the fact that we're the smallest percentage of population, and all of these other people around the globe are making use of these drugs and buying them and using them, and we're the ones footing the bill for it. So that all changes, and it's a law, so they had 30 days, and they have to do it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that, well, first of all, other countries are going to be mad. Heck, in Mexico, you could almost get anything. You could get tons of stuff. You're like, oh, $6 for this or $5 for that. It's like, it's insane. The stuff that Mexico, over the counter, you can just go get. But frankly, the prescriptions and some of the treatments and in other countries where the exact same treatment here is close to $1 million a year or something like that, where you go to another country and it's $11,000. How? Like, I understand the premise that somehow we're so rich that we pay this, so they work around their system and they're able to give it really, really cheap to this poor country. Bull. It's almost all profit in as most of all of this. And some of the studies and some of the documentarians that have gone in and looked at how much it actually costs to produce, they always go back to research and development. Well, where the hell's the research and development on different cancers? How much money has been raised? You know how much money these cancer awareness fund makers make? I mean, it's insane. Somebody needs to investigate all of these cancer fundraising places, because think about in your lifetime, how many of your friends and family or yourself has done cancer awareness? Like I've sat and watched my friend die in 6 months. I took him to every treatment. I went to all sorts of cancer things for 2 years after that. I went to all these awarenesses. One of them that we went to that I was a part of, it made like $2.2 million or something in donations for this run. And it's like that $2.2 million, that was just one day for 3 hours on a Saturday. And there was tons of them going on all over the country, all over the richest country in the world. Where does all that money go? We have all sorts of pills that will make you boing, and then we have all sorts of pills that will make your hair grow. But we don't have a cure for cancers. And again, how many people will not be quiet about how many things will actually help these things? And it's just, now it's a growing theory that they just don't want to, because it pays them so much more to treat it than to cure it.
Yeah. And I'm not dismissing that by any means. All of that makes 100% sense. But at the end of the day, this truly does bring down the prices for a drug. So if a drug costs $50 in Mexico and it's 500 here in America, it will change in 30 days. It will have to. It will have to significantly change. Otherwise, they will be breaking the law. And then the DOJ could actually go after that pharmaceutical company, in which case they're not going to want that to happen. So look. That is the power of it. And that's, it is going to it will make a huge change in the way the world pays for this stuff. Because you think about the entire population of the world buying something as basic as, I don't know, metformin, okay, which a lot of people take. Metformin, it's probably not even expensive because it's so popular. But, if the whole globe is taking metformin, America isn't the whole globe. We're only 330 million people. So there's no reason for us to pay 90% of the bill for metformin while the rest of the globe is consuming it for pennies.
Wait, and they're saying that we're paying 90% of the bill because the bill actually needs to be paid. They're like, well, to keep the lights on, we need to charge this much. And we're only charging them $5 because they're poor, but we have to charge you the majority of what we actually have to spend. Their profit margins are so absurd. They could take a chunk out of the profit margin and bring us down to these other countries without raising the other countries. That's my point. And I guarantee you, this is not going to be popular across the planet. We are going to be absolutely in a target mode for everybody. They're going to be absolutely pissed because this is going to do this. The pharmaceutical companies are all, it's a very small, it's a pyramid, and it goes up to just a handful.
This is not let's make Europe healthy again. This is not let's help, the UK get cheap drugs. This is fix America's drug pricing. And, it's going to piss off the rest of the world. But that's why he did it. Like he doesn't care about the rest of the world. He cares about America.
And I get that. That's really great. But I do see through this too, as far as if you look at the long run, how much this changes. And this is a massive, massive change. And it actually gives them a door to go, well, we've got to make up for it somehow. We don't have, this over here. So it's like I see through this. This is literally going to change everyone's lives across the planet. Trump is making big moves, and I'm sure everybody needs this, especially here when we're paying this crazy stuff. Plus, we have been put through absolute hell. But again, this is going to ruffle so many feathers. The moves that are being made right now, I don't see how this doesn't precede some sort of massive war or some sort of great change that happens. There's going to be a currency change, a collapse, a war. Something has to break. When you put this many big changes like this that can't be skirted around, I mean, it makes you wonder, like how many presidents could have done this before? Why hasn't this been done earlier? And you could say that about 10 things he's already done. And when you say that, well, why didn't they do it? There's probably a tiny reason there, and it's probably because when you do all of this stuff, again, which is awesome, there are going to be some sort of consequences behind it. And I think that, Trump is saying, I'm ready for it. Dex, go ahead.
I look at it like in the business world, when a company is doing really, really bad and they're on the brink of failure and they bring in a CEO that is a turnaround guy. He usually comes in and axes like all sorts of products and R&D and different departments and lays off people and just lean machines the company and all of a sudden turns it back around. But he did it in a hurry, shook everything up, pissed off a lot of people that saved the company, right? That's typically what happens when you see that type of action happen. And you could almost equate that to where America has been. We've had a whole bunch of politicians just sort of strapping on Band-Aid after Band-Aid after, print more money after print more money to never fix problems. And now we've got this guy coming in like a bulldog, acting like a CEO, and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna shake the tree as hard as I can because I got to make it, I got to fix it and fix it quickly. And I think nobody's prepared for that. Like everybody's sort of not just in the government, not just in the political spectrum, not just here in America, but even in the world, everybody is sort of taken aback by the fact that there's this massive righting of the ship, at least in his opinion, on how things are being done in America.
It's almost like he's probably going, "Hey, can I make eyeglasses $5? I can physically. Eyeglasses are now $5. It's like, oh, can I give police rocket launcher? Boom, done. I mean, it's like anything that's possible. My big question is, there's so many things that should have been done earlier. How can we literally look back and say, why didn't anybody else do these things, right? It just doesn't make sense. And then some things, again, I am worried about the long road down, right? We don't know exactly where this is going to go. Everybody has, been looking at this. The United States is now being turned around like a corporation. I mean, it is one. If you really don't know that the United States is essentially a corporation, then just keep looking. You'll find it. But again, they're basically cutting the meat off of the fat off the meat, and they're about to sizzle it. So we will see where this goes, and we're going to be following it the whole way through. And then, of course, before we move on, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people around the world. Again, if you do want to protect yourself against one of the biggest threats against the United States, then I'd highly recommend going and checking out an EMP shield. This isn't just a surge protector. This is a military-grade EMP shield. This is something that, again, this company is working with agencies like DHS and DOD and the DEMSO team helping protect our Texas grid. So, again, this is a device that can ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, your boats, your ham radios, your solar and gas generators. Solar in the case of the Bug Out XP or something like the Energy, all of the energy products. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you use the code MARF, not only are you saving money, but you are also saving independent media. Again, marfooglenews.com/Marf. And again, during the Liberty sale, again, you are not only going to get our discount, but you are also going to get theirs as well. So make sure to go check that out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Thank you guys for supporting us. Again, nobody likes ads or affiliates. But again, if you realize when we're not doing camera reviews or doing, game reviews of the plot or anything. Again, those are equally important as far as art and expression. But as far as covering this thing and having real people give their opinions, it's one of the most important things out there. So not only us, but anybody that you watch that is covering actual current events, please go support them in any way possible as far as sharing them out. Because the algorithm has given the top spot to three-letter agencies like BBC, CNN, FOX, and everybody else. So, again, support your local media. Again, support your independent media. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to share us out. All right, and then, Dex, why is Putin amassing troops on the border of Finland? Military buildup similar to the prelude of the Ukraine war sparks alarm in NATO.
Well, yeah, it certainly does. And when you see that type of movement of the equipment, so there's new satellite images that are revealing they're bulking up its military presence on the Finnish border, and very much like we saw with Ukraine before the Ukraine invasion. So they've got aircraft deployment infrastructure, refurbishing old facilities and key military bases, according to different analysts. And they're reinforcing its capabilities all along the border region there. So pictures were obtained by the Swedish broadcaster, and have been published out, suggesting there have been activity at four key locations from Kamenka, Petrovka, I'm sure I butchered that, and Severomorsk and Olenia. So it's about 30. One of them is about 35 miles from the Finnish border. It was previously undeveloped, with more than 130 military tents capable of housing 2,000 troops have said to be set up at that just since February. So just in the last 2.5 months now.
And everything in my intuition says that there's just, something wrong with all of this. But I would say this. The narrative is painting a very clear picture that this Russia/NATO war is going to happen. So whether that ends up being World War III, that's up to destiny. But I think that Russia and NATO, whether you believe Russia is the actual instigator or they're getting pushed into it, it looks like they are amassing just as they did. And we saw this early on in 2022. We covered this in 2022. And I said when they were doing the first drill, I knew that something was off about it and that this looked like absolutely it was what it was. There's a lot of signs that Russia is going to do this. Again, with media and just so many confusing narratives and so many confusing opinions, people don't go with their own gut. With this being said, people have said, oh, well, Russia's the one getting pushed into it. I see our community really torn because there's a lot of patriots that love America that also go, our American government is full of corruption. And we're actually not saying we don't love America. We don't love the choices by an American government that's most likely controlled by another country. And we're it's not like there's a big headquarters with a situation room in China that's going, okay, pull the strings on JB and pull the strings on this. It is that you have politicians that have been bought and paid for. Look at the actual network of our politicians, and you'll know right away there's corruption. You don't make $200,000 a year, $235,000 a year, and then have a net worth of $44 million in like 4 years. And not president. I'm talking about Congress or senators or these people that are, lower on the totem pole have this huge money. That's insider trading. That's deals being done. That's $1 million in your pocket to make this decision. That's, $5 million to vote for this. It's $2 million just to step out of the way and say, I abstain. These people are super corrupt. And it's not just here, it's everywhere across the planet. And as long as we can speak about it, we have to. Because honestly, there is a future out there and there's a future path that if we go down, we won't even be able to talk about this on anything, whether it be your computer, tablet, or not, everything else. I mean, there's a lot of scary places we could go. One thing that we have to have faith in is that people will actually stay awake. And I mean, there's so much programming going on. People, especially people that have been around for a long time, around the block, they don't think they can be programmed. Everybody can be programmed. That's the scary part. We know this. That people can be hypnotized. I mean, straight up hypnotized. They don't call it that, but it pretty much is. Heck, and by the way, that just reminded me, there's a weird story going around on all the social medias. And nowadays, you don't know, because now so many people have gotten into this niche that it's just so wide ranging from fluoride to people popping out of holes and grabbing people like spiders. Okay, now it's like a popular thing to be like, oh my gosh, did you hear about this? But there was a story about some program, and listen to this. Dex, I don't know if this was probably after your time in school, but I was in this. There were programs where you were brought, in my case, I was brought into a trailer, and they said for special, if you were ahead in subjects, if you were smarter, or they would say you were a gifted student in some area.
Yeah, I was gifted.
So, okay. So if you were a gifted student, I was gifted in reading comprehension, all these different things. 6th grade, I was post-college, right? So they brought me in this trailer and put these hearing tests and visual tests. But they asked a bunch of weird questions. Now, I didn't remember a lot of this and didn't even think about it until this podcast came out. And this podcast talked about this, and they said that the theory is that this was one of the first things where they were hypnotizing people, that they were actually hypnotizing. Have you guys heard of this? Dex, we might have to do a video on it because I remember it. It was this weird old school headphone thing. They would have you put it, they'd sit you in a cubicle and they'd do tests on you, but not just like, look at F this. They would do weird voices, weird things. It was just super weird.
Oh yeah, I remember doing it. I couldn't tell you the specifics, but I do remember doing strange auditory tests, visual tests, headphones, sitting in a special ring. It was in a trailer. Our gifted class was in middle school for me. But yeah. I remember doing all that.
Raven of Angelia says, yep. Cornelius has no recollection of it. My father worked for military during college at Drexel. I wasn't gifted for a few years. They said I was special. Well, I hear you. And then I hear you, Marv. My elementary school counselor asked me some weird questions I don't remember until recently. Yeah, I will have to show you. Once people see, you know what's super weird is most people do not remember this at all. And then once they see pictures of the earphones and the spaces that they put you in, immediately people start remembering. Is that not weird? Isn't that just odd? That they don't remember at all. And you could even describe it, but once you show pictures of the earphones, the cubicles, and the trailers that they had, people all of a sudden go, what the hell? I remember that. Everybody, I remember hearing tests, and in school, I understood that. And I still understand that. If you are checking a student for hearing loss, or if you're checking for blindness, that's a good, that's something that was subsidized way back, beyond the 50s, right? But this is different. They actually played sound samples, different things into your ears over and over again, and then they had you do it multiple times. It was very, very weird. Yeah, I had testing as a child. Wow, Linda Hope. Yeah, and you think, oh, so you're special and really smart, so that's why they do repetitive hearing tests and repetitive visual tests, and you look at pictures, and they showed you cards. Something straight out of a sci-fi. It's like out of a Black Mirror. Cornelius Elborn. Wait. No. Yeah, brainwashing. Yeah, they flashed images at you too. Like, do you not get like what this is sounding like? They flashed images. They would flash images in this cubicle. Once you see it, it's going to be like, what the hell? Anyways, M. St. G says, yep, tested a lot. We'll cover it. I remember going into the trailer and putting on the headphones, nothing else. I think it was 5th grade. It was 5th grade for me too. Gosh, you're like my age, Samantha. Yeah, you're like, I think you're a year younger. It was probably 96 for me, right? Yeah, 96, 95, 96. Like an X-File episode, yeah. But my point, greater thing, is that we get, who knows who is hypnotizable and who is not, because what if we already are? Dex, yeah, with the troops amassing, this is a giant red flag. People should be paying attention to the media and watch. I bet you there's going to be a lull, and it's either going to go down or this is going to be the next 3 weeks of news. If this is a lull, then I would be wary, because if it is a lull, then you're looking at some sort of surprise event happening. This is something to pay attention to anytime there's amassing troops. So pay attention. And Dex, how are the Poles reacting, or how are they treating their people, and what are they doing?
Well, in addition to laying, the miles and miles of dragon's teeth, as you call them, or the anti-tank structures that are all across the borders there, they've been working heavily to get their public prepared and ready for war, to repel an invasion. And specifically with the people there, the military training grounds near the city, the ordinary Poles are actually lining up, waiting to be handed bang bangs and taught how to shoot them. Once the round is loaded, the weapon's ready, they instruct them, and then their face is smeared with camouflage paint, and they're basically getting ready for wartime. Like, they're really getting into it. And this is young, old, men, women, parents, children. They're all coming in and preparing and learning how to do this. And they've set up, training facilities, training locations for them. And it's becoming a really big topic, I guess, and a part of the society to be ready to repel this invasion that's coming from Russia.
Yeah, and again, it says Poland is due to sign a defense agreement with France in the coming days, and another pact with the UK is in the pipeline, further moved by Warsaw to pivot away from its historically strong military ties with Washington. There's also talk of Poland being brought under the French military's nuclear umbrella, which I see happening. I see that in the near future, they are going to be brought under this umbrella. When France said that, that was part of something that was planned for probably way longer than it was announced. By the way, as far as the hypnotizing stuff, I do want to read this comment because Eric said something. This is great to have kind of the other view of this. Eric said that it wasn't hypnotization. It was to see how fast that you could process information. I guess that, people are going to believe what they want to believe. What I'm saying is the podcast and all of these people are saying that they believe it was hypnotization. I don't know if it was, but I will say this. There's enough people talking about it now and going, well, why don't I remember this? But then they see it and they instantly remember. The people that do said colors would flash. You didn't have to go red, blue, yellow. You didn't say anything. You just were flashed images. They didn't have sensors, detecting how fast you were looking at blue, red, yellow, whatever. And they didn't have a test afterwards that said, what colors did you see? That's the creepy part. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, when I did it, I remember this part. I remember that doing the weird stuff was to get in. It was never done again. Like, I remember doing it once, maybe it was like a week long, leave a class for an hour a day for 5 days or something like that and do all these different tests. And then you had to wait to see what the results of the tests were. So to see if you could get into the gifted program. That's exactly what I remember. Because then after that, the class, I just went from being in the regular class with everyone else to being in a gifted class. And I had all these other classes that I got to do that I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't score whatever I had to score on those weird tests. But yeah, it was a one-time event, maybe a week long if I remember. But I don't remember the exactness of it. But it was definitely, everything you described, like weird pictures you looked at, memorizations, puzzles, audio stuff, all sorts of weird things.
Well, that's the other thing. They clarified that this is totally different from some of the regular testing that was actually mandated and some of the required testing done. So I don't know if there's a time period they believe that this was something different. But again, they've turned everything. Do you remember the channel that I showed you, That Sunday Talk, or that guy that he was actually a youth pastor that turned into a YouTuber? We looked at it. He does a podcast out of his basement. We were commenting on how his setup was really cool, how he would do his podcast, right? How he started, and he actually did some of the funniest videos talking about translating Gen Z talk and things like that. Go look him up. I forget the name. I'll get the name by the end of the show and recommend over there. But there's a lot of really crazy, controversial conspiracy things that he talks about now, which I didn't see when I first saw his channel and he was at 10,000 subscribers. Now he's in the millions. He's definitely deserving of it. They put a lot of work into their podcast. But anyways, and then the China-U.S. trade progress, right? So what's going on with this? So if you go look at the ports here, at least, they are extremely, extremely chaotic. There is a lot of nothing going on. And a lot of people are debating whether this is a big thing or this is a temporary thing. Either way, there's some pretty big changes happening right now. And if something does not break, then we are looking at a serious, serious implication here. Like, we're talking about war with China. Because right now, essentially how it's put is that they are virtually embargoed with the current tariffs. Many companies, it's so bad that they just said, we're just not going to ship out to the U.S. So again, with this, it's very, very unnerving. So Dex, do you want to talk about some of the positives and some of the areas, the negatives here?
Well, yeah, it's actually, it's really good. The update from the weekend was that out of that meeting, they have now dropped the tariffs from 145 down to like 30%. And I think the China has reduced its tariffs from 125 down to 10. And the other news coming out of the president this morning was that it's now going to also open up the Chinese market to American business. So that will be a greater opportunity for us to sell. We've never really had the opportunity to sell in there outside of stuff that they wanted, like technology. So now we can potentially sell more product from America into China and help offset that balance or that unbalanced trade, which was we're buying everything from them and they buy nothing from us. So that is all part of this 90-day plan. So it's all in effect now for 90 days. Obviously, they have to finish the deal. But as of right now, 30% and 10%. So we're back to trade. Stock markets are back up. The whole loss that happened when Liberation Day happened has been erased completely. And as far as Wall Street's concerned, things look great.
Stephen McMahon, great comment, says, you were MK Ultra'd. When the time is right, they'll play a certain tune and you will act out post-hypnotic suggestion. Well, one good thing about my horrible childhood is I missed so much of school from 1st to 7th grade. I think they said I went to 22% of all school, and that's because I was, it's a long story, but we were essentially homeless. So I missed a lot of those trailer trainings, but I do remember the one I went to. So I don't know how many of these trailer trainings you needed, if that's the truth, that you needed, but I highly doubt it would be one or two. As far as that, by the way, another comment said, well, not all of it is bad. No, there's regular tests too that are good too, and there was a lot of stuff that was done that they actually had a legit purpose for, but. As far as that goes, I mean, if you look at the general setup of our world, school is kind of like a training to be a drone. And then France accuses enemies of spreading fake news after cocaine bag claims. So if you haven't heard the rumors spreading around, of course, there's a lot of rumors around the French president and his wife and his mom and his dad are all the same, whatever, either way. And then President Emmanuel Macron's office has accused France's enemies of spreading fake news by suggesting that he and other European leaders have taken substances on a train during a visit to Kiev. I'm guessing he would be with Zelensky. The thing is when you so say if this is completely fake news, because of what people think of Zelensky, whoever thought this up, if they were trolling, they did the perfect story to essentially have 95% of people go, well, maybe he did, because this is not an unbelievable story. High-paid politicians on a private train doing some yayo. Do you think it happens? I do. I don't know about the French president. I know politicians. A lot of these guys, I mean, they're on a different level than most people. They have not only an authority and a power, these kind of people that get pulled over and go, do you know who I am? And it works. Those people. They go, do you know who I am? And they go, sorry, sir, move right along. Just don't go 170 again, sir. Thank you. Those kind of people, right? Those kind of people are bored with everything else. When you have a lot of money, when you have a lot of power, I think that these guys, try to take it to the extremes. Dex, go ahead.
Well, let's play the video, because I think that's the fun part. Like, you guys decide. You guys look at it and tell us what you think. What they're telling us is that the Macron was grabbing a tissue, and the other gentleman to his left was grabbing a drink mixer, where others are suggesting it's a bag of yayo and a, either some sort of spoon or some sort of, straw that could be used for little toot-toot. But watch their mannerisms. See what it is they do when they realize the press walk into the room. And then you decide, is it just a snot rag or is it a bag of blow?
Okay, so just watch this here.
It's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
It's through my bathroom, huh?
It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
We got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo, and after that you will be allowed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude! Look at the look. Watch this. Let me zoom in here. They did not realize.
It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
We got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo, and after that you will be allowed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Watch his eyes. Oh, there's media here. Whoa, that got serious quick. Whoa.
On va bien.
You got to watch the hands and see what he does with them. And it's not just Macron; it's the glass next to the other guy. And
Are we back in Poland?
Watch this.
It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
And by the way, the camera's moving around a lot, so it's hard to keep it centered. But I'll try it.
Will be allowed to have a drink.
Media comes in. Whoa.
Super.
You see that? Watch this.
Will be allowed to have a drink.
The second they walk in the room. Whoa. And that uneasy shoulder grab where he grabs his shoulder twice.
And after that you will be allowed to have a drink. And after that you will be allowed to have a drink.
Oh, wait. I didn't see that other part.
Right.
Got through the border.
Right.
Oh, okay, I thought this little line right here was an actual... Wait, what is that? Wait a second. I thought this was part of the folder, but look, right there. What the hell is that? Doesn't look like a pen. I didn't even
no,
see
some
that.
people are saying it's a toot device,
And
little spoon for the nose or something.
oh my God, it is!
We got through the border.
Right.
If you don't know what we're talking about, right next to the glass, look at this, and he carefully grabs it. Boom.
Super.
And by the way, the stuff that people in this power, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you, if you're grown up, you probably, you were 18 through 30 at one point. You probably partook in something. There's some of you that probably haven't done anything. But anybody that has goes, okay, that's weird. And then the stuff that these guys are getting, they probably talk to the Colombian president and get him straight from him. Happy-go-lucky time. Dex, wow.
So look, we can't. Nobody knows what it is, but look, they're saying, and they put out photographs from other angles saying, look, it's just a Kleenex, and look, it's just a drink stirrer, and that's fine if that's what it is. But
For water.
Why are you grabbing a tissue and hiding it and then tucking it away like it's super secret? I got to shuffle it from one hand to the next and then tuck it into the back pocket. And why do I need to grab the drink stirrer off the table so nobody could see it and hold it between my fingers? It just seems so odd. Like the mannerisms fit so perfectly for it to be what everybody wants to believe it is. And nobody really wants to believe that it's just a dirty snot rag on the table.
And the look of the gray-haired gentleman, the look of like, I wasn't expecting us to have like actual media here, like not yet. And if you do that, look at this, the thing that Macron's mouth does.
We came
right here.
Germany.
I think he does it multiple times.
It's through my bathroom, huh?
Whoa! See, do you see this? Watch his lips. Let me zoom in.
We came. It's literally. We came. It's literally. We came through Germany.
And watch.
And then we made it to France.
Bedroom.
It's literally. We came through Germany. And then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
We got through the border.
Right.
Again, most people are like, of course they are. These are. Do you think that just because they wear a suit and they're in power that when they get off, they're like, let's do something professional. Absolutely not. And that's a super private train. If you don't know that train that they were taking, I mean, it is, I guess, a railed palace. That thing is an incredible feat of engineering in itself, if you don't know the train that they rode through there. Train spotters would tell you, like, the thing is incredibly fancy. All right, and what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. What's your opinion? And then, what if you look at the undertone of things, though, too, these are the people that are deciding to possibly put us through World War III. And half the times, they're probably half-cocked. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, go ahead.
Well, if they were leaving Ukraine, I'd suggest it was a parting gift. And they're on the way in. I think Zelensky's a little mad that they were not sharing with them.
Well, and isn't it crazy, too, that in the White House, they found a bag of this stuff, and then they just basically said, oh, I don't know. The White House, that's monitored by, literally, it is the most monitored place in the world. They probably have smell detectors in the lamps that will go, bam, 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 cocaine, cocaine. And they don't know whose it was. And the quick answer is, what's his face? Hunter, but who knows? It could have been one of 50 people in the White House. They probably all have one. They're like, oh, is this yours? Oh, guys, we got to start using permanent marker on the Ziplocs, okay? I accidentally sniffed ecstasy. I was trying to sniff cocaine. It's like, Secretary of Defense, please, come on. Put it in your locker. You guys all know the cocaine rules. And then airlines prepare for nuclear war. So there's plans being drawn up right now. And this isn't for nuclear war like the end of the world. This is like nuclear war like as in a nuke goes off. And I do believe we'll see a tactical nuke or a regular nuke in our lifetime. Or at least a giant explosion so big and so mean and so explosive that people go, that was a nuke. And even if it's not a nuke and they call it a nuke, I believe we will see that. Some people thought that explosion in Pakistan was a nuke by how that secondary explosion went off. But right now, they have plans that are so old and archaic that essentially their plan is from the 1950s if one nuke goes off, whether it be a tactical nuke in Seattle or whether it be a full-blown, fat boy dropped in Russia. Doesn't matter. Every plane in the planet will go down. And they say that not only is that not a smart thing to do, they're basically saying there's so many wars going on that they need to have a plan if just one nuke goes off. Because we can't just ground the whole planet because a nuke goes off in some Middle Eastern country or over in India and Pakistan. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Dex, it's crazy that our plan is straight up from the 1950s and that this hasn't been updated.
Yeah, it's based on insurance, number one, because the insurance companies have their own rules, and they're the ones that say if one nuke goes off, all planes go down, must go down immediately. So, or they're not going to be covered under their insurance policies. So they are working right now to rewrite the insurance policies in preparation for the new type of nuclear war. And that new policy, it would be one that says, hey, we understand that a nuke could go off in Ukraine or in Pakistan and India, and it doesn't mean that it's global a global total annihilation. So therefore, we can keep flying, and we don't have to shut business down, and everybody can stay in the air. And I think we were asking what that stat was, Adam. I looked it up. It was something like 1.2 to 1.4 million people are in the air at any given time. So that's a lot of people that are up airborne at any given moment.
Yeah, again, hopefully, we never see a nuke in our lifetime. But again, my opinion is that there's every country, every main big country, all of the largest countries in the world right now, as we sit here, are either in a war, teetering on a war, or planning one. So, yeah, or voted for one, right? By the way, somebody made a great comment. It says, I did the coca 40 years ago once. Didn't like it, never again, right? By the way, so a lot of people, it's not the thing for most people, right? one thing I will say is that almost everything on Earth has been turned into something nasty and just completely destroyed. You know, humans make the worst out of the best, right? I wonder though, like the pure cocaine, the you know, the stuff that actually grows in places like Colombia and stuff like that, the actual leaves and the things that comes with, there are actual good purposes. And there was a documentary, God, I can't remember the name, but it goes over like what could have happened with pharmaceuticals if they actually did it right, and if they didn't try for bottom line things like that. There were actual health uses. And, you know, everybody knows that Coca-Cola started out with cocaine, which everybody laughs at. Of course, that's not a good use. But that stuff mixed with other stuff, the pure stuff, and I don't think anyone here has ever had absolutely pure stuff from Colombia or wherever it's grown, Peru, whatever. The pure stuff mixed with certain chemicals could actually do a whole lot for different ailments, right? Same with marijuana, right? Mary Jane is almost legal in almost all of our states. I don't know which ones aren't. I know there's a lot that still aren't, but it's like the whole angle is that, oh, well, you know, it's for medical purposes. I know there's people in here that are on medical licenses and things like that. Here, you can go down the street and grab it from a store, like it's a 7-Eleven. I don't smoke. I used to when I was younger. I can't even touch the stuff nowadays. And it's so funny because my elders, they said they couldn't smoke the stuff that I smoked 20 years ago because it was too strong. They're like, back in the day, our THC level is 3%. And back in my day, it was like 8 or 9%. Now it's like they have this medically lab-grown freaking stuff that's 40%. I don't trust it. And I feel like the old people are like, I don't know about that. When do you guys know? It's too strong. I literally have said that. I'm like, I'm not touching that new stuff. And I also think that once the government steps in, things get really weird. I just saw a story that 10 people have been hospitalized because there was the Fenny stuff laced in some part of their Mary Jane they got from a dispensary, like a lab, you know, a dispensary that was licensed and permitted and everything. So it's like, I don't know. Once it's taxed, I don't trust it. Obviously, that's kind of crazy, right? It's from, if you had the random dude in high school that would be like, yeah, I'm around the corner for 4 hours straight. He was around the corner. That was more trustworthy to me than a government a government taxed place that does this stuff. Because now, look at what they've done with it. They've also now connected recently, I didn't know this, but they've connected mental illnesses and things being triggered by Mary Jane. Now, this was a debate a few months ago when I mentioned this the other time. I have a family member that has literally smoked, and I never agreed with this. I said it's a bunch of BS. Medically marijuana-induced stuff. And people go, no, absolutely can't happen. And hardcore people that have smoked for 40 years go, no, that can't be true. It's not true. Not that. I would say, please put a thought out there that maybe not everything in that is all natural, that it's not all from a plant. Okay, just maybe. And I bet you 10 years from now, we're going to find out that certain things were done, or, you know, there were holes in how it was regulated. Something happened. But I honestly think that something is going on with that. Because if you can get a marijuana-induced kind of psychosis and it's permanent, something's wrong with the stuff. Just say, go look it up. You'll see there's tons of papers out on it. I'm not saying I 1,000% believe it's because of the dispensaries or anything like that, but what the hell's going on with it? Or is it something in the environment? Is it something in the dirt? Is it something in the rain? Is it in the rain because of what's being, put out in the air? I don't know. But I do know something is different, and that's for sure. Dex, gosh.
You know that old campaign, or I don't call it a campaign, but the old message was that, or at least when I was a kid, was that if you tried Coke once, you would be so addicted, you would like become a fiend and, spend every dollar, every penny you ever had on everything so that you could just get more of it. That, for whatever reason, that message was like, it worked on me. It worked in my brain because I went my whole life. I've done a lot of other things, but I went my whole life never touching that stuff, and because of that, and I always just had this fear that if I did it once, I'm just going to screw everything up.
Yeah, there was a similar thing for heroin. I don't know if you guys remember Dare. Dex, you didn't have Dare, did you? Dare to say no.
Yeah, we still had that. Yeah, we had that when I was a kid.
I don't know when that started, but that was something I did remember from elementary school, is the Dare cop coming in and talking about your brain on drugs and all that.
Yeah.
I think that is what scared me, is seeing like the eggs in the frying pan for a really long time. Like, I don't want my brains to turn into eggs. And then, somebody else would go like, you're 26. Your brains don't actually turn into eggs, right? But whatever.
Well, and then Tony Montana sort of, gave you the image that, it would just turn into a train wreck. So yeah, anyway,
I thought if I did it, I would all of a sudden
I wasn't a good kid. I did a lot of other things, but I just never would touch that one.
Well, so you're right. I watched Tony Montana, and I thought, I'm afraid of doing the stuff, because if I do it, then I'll have some sort of automatic weapon in my hands, and then I'll start taking people out. I thought the second I did it, and then I would start speaking with an accent. That's what I thought. I mean, that's what the Dare cop told me. So
taking trips to Colombia, right?
Yeah, and getting alpaca clothing and flying under the radar in the bushes with machetes. That's how we roll, or I mean, how we never roll, right? Yeah, never did it. Jace, if you haven't checked it out, make sure to go do so. Again, you can get antibiotics right to your door discreetly. And this is a great kit because it has all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics in case of any kind of emergency. If there's any kind of storm, fire, hurricane, tornado, any kind of event, earthquakes, where you can't get to the hospital or you can't go to the pharmacy because the pharmacy's down because of cyber attacks or looting, or any kind of event, from a civil conflict to straight up a hurricane blowing your hospital and pharmacy away. You never know what's going to happen. Again, this is a great thing because it prevents, say, a finger cut turning into your funeral. And that sounds crazy, but infection it can be very, very nasty without modern medicine. So again, I don't agree with all of the pharmaceutical stuff. And again, you can actually do their Jace Daily if there is a pharmaceutical that you are dependent on. Whether you like to be dependent on or not, have you ever thought, what if the power goes out? What if the lights go out and it doesn't come back on? This is a way, Jace Daily, where you can get a 12-month extended supply of your regular medications. Now, obviously, you can't get all of the different kinds of medications, especially the ones that Tony Montana would probably be doing on his desk. But you can get a lot of the stuff that is more, maintenance kind of stuff. So go over to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF, because not only will you save money, you will also be prepping yourself and saving independent media. There's an add-on list too. You can, because you're talking to a board-certified doctor on a tablet or a phone or a computer. And again, you can go, hey, board-certified doctor, can I get albuterol? And he'll go, okay, I'll throw it in there too. So there's a whole list of add-ons. Go check it out. You can even get the stuff that Joe Rogan was taking and CNN was making fun of him for. All right, marfooglenews.com/Jace, and make sure to use the code MARF. It's a great gift, too, for somebody who you worry about having something like that happen. So make sure to go check it out. All right, and then thank you, Stephen McMahon. I appreciate you. Thank you, Samantha Winchester. Thank you so much for your support as well. I believe you guys are both tied for first. Thank you for being top supporters tonight. Sweating Ministries, thank you this week. I appreciate you for being top supporter this week. And Boring Hornet, Devin Backus, April Fierce Family, Bound by Mountains, of course, Rochelle Cooley, thank you. Olga Turan, Genius by Birth, Lola Cafe, and Elisa Borden. Thank you, everybody, for making it to the show. Danawa and Mr. Doshanai, thank you for being in the chat tonight. New Brunswick, Canada guy. M. St. G, Tammy Johnson, thank you. You guys are all very, very awesome. I appreciate every one of you. Cameron, Stealth Mode, and then, of course, make sure to shout out your mods. Go over to marfooglenews.com/friends to get all of the info on all of them. You can, again, find all of their Twitters, their Amazons, their Brighteon links, their link trees, their TikToks. Again, they're all over there on the page, not to mention a whole list of other creators that we think are awesome. So great page there, marfooglenews.com/friends. Rob Mills, remember Jesus loves you and he is waiting for you with open arms. Please come home soon. Hey, Rob, God bless and have a good night, guys. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Callie, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Callie, that puts you, I believe, in #1 spot, so thank you so much. Have a good night, guys. It is now time for the shoutro. It is not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate all you do.
Much love. Great job, brother.
You'll be ported over to Jams if you stick around. Otherwise, you can go to marfooglenews.com. Aliyah!